Rock and roll! Welcome to Road Poet Studio, the show that invites you, the viewer, to be on. So if you sing, dance, juggle pianos, tap dance across the stage, and if you love cars, bikes, motorcycles, if you love music, if you love poetry, you've come to the right show. In fact, we invite you, the viewer, to come and be on the show. And tonight we got a couple great cars we're going to be looking at. We already looked at one great car, and we're going to be looking at another great car. Rick McGarvey, and you're from?
Lynn.
And what do you do for work again?
I'm retired.
Oh yeah, but you used to be...
I used to work for the Gillette Company in South Boston.
I mean, your car is absolutely excellent.
Thank you.
You know, who did most of the work?
I did all the mechanical work.
Yeah.
And a lot of the machine parts, and body work is not my specialty. So.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll be checking it out, and you'll know what a great-looking car it is, so you'll know what we're talking about when we go out there. And... you know, it's incredible. Like I met you at the car show also, the Danvers Car Show.
Yes.
How many years you been going there?
Ooh, since I've had the show, probably 20 years now.
Yeah, that is so great. Yeah. John D'Amico runs that, and John will be on the show. What I'm trying to do is get John and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, and Kelsey Martin. Kelsey's going to be on the show to talk about his history. You know, I'd love to get Bentley Warren because he's also got an old Ford.
Oh, he sure does.
You know, I got
several of them.
I got a picture of his car that he originally had. It's a replica of his first stock car back in 1959, and I took a picture of it, and I was at his, you know, the saloon up there, his bar, and I said, you know, I should show him the pictures. And Bentley says, where did you get that? And I told him where I got it. He says, that's a replica of my car before I went in the service from 1959. I asked him, I says, how close is it? He says, it's scary. It's got everything but the dents from last Saturday night's racing. And, you know, like Ron Marcarell. He was the one that built that car. And he's got some other great stuff. Now, I can't remember the name of the movie, the one with Ronnie Howard in, the Southern movie. There was like a 37 Ford wagon, sedan in it. Ron's got that exact car. He's working on it. So, I mean, maybe we'll get him on and get some pictures. It'll probably be winter by then. Now, we don't want you outside with your overcoat and your earmuffs on trying to take pictures of the cars. So what we'll do is we'll probably have pictures, but you know, and now I noticed you belong to an automobile club, or?
Well, I don't belong as a member, but I'm considered a friend of the club.
Yeah, that's always
And I usually go to some of the meetings and some of the functions.
Yeah, it's incredible because one of the things I already talked about in the last show is the community of the, you know, of the vintage car. I call them vintage. The community that is built around cars. Now, it's how many, just you can venture to say whatever you'd like. How many friends do you believe you have in the car community?
Oh boy, 100 or better.
It's easily to believe. You're a nice guy anyway.
And they're all willing to help a fellow car enthusiast in need of a part or need a repair or break down at the side of the road or whatever.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's quite a community, quite a group.
Yes, I mean, the one thing I've already talked about this, I think, with Charlie Houston. We'll get his name right this time. I already talked with Charlie that was on the show before, and really, for the price of a low-end new car, you can buy a really nice vintage car and build a whole history around it with your family, you know, your folks' family, your kid. It's incredible what it brings into your life.
It's amazing the fun you can have for a few dollars with a older car. But
what's the farthest you've ever taken your car from your hometown?
Been to Indianapolis, Indiana, Charlotte, North Carolina 9 times with it, Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada 4 times. I have another car, 1937 Ford, and I've put 112,000 miles on it since I built it. We built them to drive. So.
Wow, that's incredible. Everything I had was more like a field car, but there's still even a feel to that.
Yep.
There's still even a feel to a field car. It's incredible because, you know, I never went that far because I think I went once. I took my 53 Ford ranch wagon, and, you know, I don't know if you noticed, I'm a biker, and I got long hair and a beard, and I'm driving. I have this '53 Ford ranch wagon, and I bought it from E&B, I think it was up in Gornick, New Hampshire. And every car that came out of their shop always ended up looking like the last Hot Rod magazine they read. And at the time, the pumpkin orange, Couriers were in,
Yep.
and they painted the windows so it looked like a Courier. And they had these great big Harley stickers on the back and the sides. And, and I'm driving down the street. Of course, I look like the second coming to Jerry Garcia. And people are staring at me. I said, what are they staring at? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a wild man in a pumpkin orange car driving through suburbia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, people, it's also amazing. The people who will come up and talk to you when you have an old car.
Absolutely.
People that would be terrified, to talk, oh no, like I'm the last guy I'd want to be caught in an elevator with, I'll be honest with you. And people will come up, when I have my car, and like these little ladies, and oh, my father had a car, or we had a car like that when we first got married, because I had several of them, and they're just beautiful.
Yeah.
They're
I learned to drive on a car just like that.
Yeah.
My father had one, that
What
type
was
of
it?
question. No, my Ford that I have now. And I get that question that I learned to drive on a car like that and from
What
people.
What year?
1949.
Yeah, but what year did you learn to drive?
Oh, 1963.
1963. Yeah, I got my first car. Don't do the math. I got my first car. It was a '51 Ford, 1961, I believe. Might have been 60. But those days it was legal. You know what I mean? It was a different world.
That's for sure.
But God, of course, when we were kids, there would always be out in the backyard with a wrench in our hand. And of course, all the big dreams of all cars and car people, and to be part of that still. I mean, thank you for keeping it alive.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much.
My
what I
pleasure.
mean? We're going to go outside in a minute, and we're going to check Rick's car out, and you're going to say, this man is right, Peddler's right. His car is great, man, and we'd like to thank Hank, too, because he has a great car. You guys are close friends anyways.
Yes.
You ever run tandem to shows like far away? Or
Oh, yes. We travel in a group of several friends of ours that have cars, and we travel to different shows around the area and
Wow.
make a vacation out of it.
Wow. Now I'm going to go to my friend, Dave. If you want to say, you thought I forgot you, right?
No, I drove that orange car.
Yeah, right. That was.
remember that.
Yeah, it was the night before Laconia. We were up in Maine.
Great time.
It was. Now I looked at the page number so I'd remember. Now we've done this before. Dave and I have done this before. Now my friend here, I guess it's cool to say he owns Cycles 128. And he's got this image he likes. He's got these stickers, because you can't buy it. There's no product, so don't worry. We ain't trying to sell you a product, because you can't buy it. And he gives the stickers away if you can find them. But it's a bike, and it's called the Black Bike. And I asked him, I said, well, what's this black bike image? And he said, well, man, it's like that old, Louis Armstrong. If I got to tell you about jazz, you won't understand. And he said, well, it's a thing. And I started thinking, what is this black bike? And I started thinking about it, and Dave's going to play some music here, blow some notes here, man. You know what I mean?
We're doing
Give
that.
us a little bit of tune here, man.
About black bikes.
Yeah, go ahead. The black bike is a silhouette in your mind's memory of the first bike you ever wanted. The black bike is the shadow of the bike and rider who run just ahead of you when the moon hits your back. The black bike is the image of Marlon Brando leaning back on his triumph in his Hollywood movie, The Wild One. The black bike is Steve McQueen. If Steve McQueen had been riding on in his movie The Great Escape, he would have cleared that second fence. The black bike is pleasant memories of watching old episodes of Then Came Bronson. The black bike is watching videos in black and white of old races of the Isles of Man. The black bike is a snapshot photograph of the famous Vincent Black Shadow setting the world speed record. The black bike is the image of the last Honda 305 Dream to roll off the factory floor. The black bike is the image of the first Harley Davidson 883 to roll off the assembly line. The black bike is a cafe racer, a boulevard cruiser, a flat tracker, a dragster, a touring bike, even a trike. The black bike is a tattoo of our life. You guys want to play some music and just wrap it up before we go outside?
Yeah, we'll
Give us some notes.
cue you in.
Yeah.
Eh?
Open the doors. Hey, rock and roll, we're back. Hey, we're out here with Rick McGarvey, is it?
Right, Rick McGarvey.
That's one of the few names I've gotten right so far, right? Wow, we're looking at your 49 Ford Coupe.
Business coupe, club
Business
coupe
coupe.
actually, club coupe. It's a-
Club Coupe. I was
Yeah.
wondering which kind of coupe it was.
Yeah.
Now, there was a difference. The Club Coupe was shorter.
Had a shorter cab and a longer trunk.
Yeah, this
The
is my
sedan had a bigger back seat, more roof, shorter,
Yeah, I
longer
mean,
trunk.
this car is, how long you own this, Rick?
15 years.
15 years.
Bought it in 2000.
And how much of the outside work did you do on this, the body work?
Basically nothing. This car was painted in the late 70s.
Wow.
It was kept inside, and I'm the third owner of the car.
Wow, let's check out this grill. I mean, there's so many little things about this. I mean, I love stuff like that when it's done right. You know what I mean? We used to, when we were kids, nothing, there was like a 49, the 51 Ford was the car to own.
Yep.
And everybody would put everything on them, and they end up being what we used to call Mickey Mouse goodie shops. Do you remember that term?
Yep.
You know, Dave? Remember that term, Mickey Mouse goodie shops?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Gosh, I mean, it's really perfect. It's, you know, this is...
The body is unmolested. Some guys get them and customize them, chop the roof.
Yeah,
and-
we were just talking about that. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
that's not my style. I like the stock looking. It's the original.
99% of these, they were nosed and decked.
Right.
The first thing they do is
Take the
take
chrome
off, and then of course it was never stock again, no matter what you did to it. And another thing, these were also the stock cars to own for a number of years. Bentley Warren, remember his 51 Ford? I got a
Yep.
picture of that somewhere that he built. His first stock car, Bentley Warren, was a 51 Ford. Now, look at this trim. This is absolutely perfect. Now, Rick, tell us about these gentlemen, your friends here. Those are friends you had lost? Or?
Yes. Before I got into the old cars and the hot rods, I drag raced.
Oh, yeah?
Bob Ellison, this fella here, was my partner for 40 years, and he was killed in a racing accident about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So we had stickers made, and a lot of his friends have them on his car. And this fella here, Charlie Bell, we also, when we had our car here, we raced against him. They were from Nashua, New Hampshire. And both he and his brother raced the car, and unfortunately, both of them passed away, not from accidents, but from natural causes. So we put the stickers on the cars, and just to
Did you know
keep them in mind.
Frankie Pizzuti from Beverly here?
No, I didn't.
No, he was a stock car racer. On some night, we're going to have his son because I think it was 1984 we lost him at a big race in Lee Speedway.
Yep.
Let's check out the back of this now. Now here, I want to show you the motor of this car. Come on over here, Rick. Now, this car is what we used to call a sleeper. You pull up beside it in a red light, and you think nothing's happening. You know what I mean? And then it starts off the line, you realize it's a different machine. What size is that, Rick?
That's a 302 Ford, small
Now,
block Ford.
what year?
That's a 1985 engine. That was the last year that Ford had a 4-barrel carburetor on the 302 before they went to the fuel injection with the computer.
Wow. And we were just talking last week with my friend Hank about spark plugs. Now that's a whole different rig, right? Where's the coil on this? Oh, that's a Mallory.
Mallory, the coil is internal.
Woo, it's like a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And now this has the electric fan up front of the radiator.
Yeah.
And you had plenty of room. A friend of mine's got a 48 Plymouth, and he had to take the battery and put it in the trunk.
Yeah. No,
You've got plenty of room for this Ford?
This looks like it was designed, this car was designed for this engine. We had to cut literally no sheet metal at all to fit it in. We put a subframe underneath it. We cut the old suspension off at the firewall, put a new subframe under it.
What's the subframe?
That was built by Fat Man Fabrications in Charlotte, North Carolina, specifically for the 49 to 51 Ford.
Yeah, they usually call those a front clip.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, call it a front clip. Now, okay, that's the master cylinder?
No, that's a remote fill for the master cylinder.
Oh, okay.
Because
they're underneath.
these pedals came through
They're
the floor underneath.
They're not on top.
You can't, it's very difficult to fill the brake fluid.
Wow, I love that old Ford plaque there. See it?
Yeah.
Can you get in on that, brother? Well, now we're going to go in and look at some other stuff in the car. And could you close up the hood, Rick?
Sure.
Anything I love is cars with the original steering wheel, that big old gangsters. You know, it was so good that didn't get changed.
Yep.
You know,
We wanted to keep it as original appearing as we could.
Now, was this an automatic or standard original?
This was a standard.
Yeah.
A flathead with a 3-speed on the column.
Yeah. And step over here. Yeah. And one of the reasons I'm asking, because that's 90% of them, the ones that are still left were either automatics or 6-cylinders, because most of them were either hot rodded heavily or they were used as stock cars.
Yep.
You know? Now this seat here, if you check the seat out, you can see like that's not a stock seat.
That's the original seat in this car.
And you rigged up the middle console.
Well, that's an aftermarket piece.
Yes, but it's beautiful.
It just straps on under the bottom of the seat.
You know what? It
And
looks exactamundo.
Yeah,
Like it's really
it's
near
very
perfect.
convenient. Makes a nice armrest and store extra.
And this
storage.
was a big deal aftermarket product back in the 50s. And I think, did they come out in the late 40s? The directionals. You had to put your own directionals on the cars in those days. You know? And does this have a push button or a key starter? It has the push button. Everybody thinks that push buttons are a big new thing.
Yeah.
We had those back in the old days. This doesn't have the throttle though, right?
It's just not as smart as the new cars. So
No, it's much smarter. It starts when you want it to.
That's right.
You know? Isn't that beautiful?
we tried to keep it as original as we could.
Well, you know what? We're grateful we got to look at it tonight, Rick.
Thank you.
Can you give us some music, guys? And we'll wrap it up. Thank you, man. And you folks out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, if you sing, dance, juggle, pianos, tap dance across the stage, we want you on Road Poet Studio. And any time, let us know. If you love cars, you love motorcycles, you love the people who love them, tune in to Road Poet Studio. Thank you.